Eugenics 2.0, when enhancement becomes exclusion. Welcome back. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and this is the Designer Babies series, reprogramming humanity, one genome at a time. Let's talk about the uncomfortable truth hiding inside the designer baby conversation. The truth that society is trying to avoid by dressing gene editing in the language of medicine, innovation, and family planning. The truth is this. When you start choosing which lives get born based on predicted traits, you are no longer practicing medicine. You are practicing eugenics. And the world has seen this before. But this time, it's not coming with armbands and state-mandated sterilizations. It's coming with apps, white coats, and optional upgrades. It's coming through private clinics, elite fertility packages, and algorithms that score embryos. It's being sold not as control, but as care. Not as tyranny, but as choice. And that's what makes it more dangerous than ever. Because it doesn't look like exclusion. It looks like good parenting. This episode is about Eugenics 2.0, a new form of genetic discrimination disguised as progress. It's about how enhancement quickly becomes exclusion, and how our obsession with better, faster, smarter, healthier children might be creating a new underclass, made not of race or income, but of natural birth itself. What was eugenics? Let's start with clarity. Eugenics, in its original form, was the belief that the human species could be improved by controlling reproduction. That undesirable traits, poverty, illness, disability, even certain races, should be reduced or eliminated through sterilization, isolation, or selective breeding. In the early 20th century, this belief system led to forced sterilizations in the United States, genocidal policies in Nazi Germany, and a long, dark history of human rights abuses. Most people think we left eugenics behind, but we didn't. We just changed its clothes. Now, instead of governments banning reproduction, we have parents encouraged to screen out defective embryos. Instead of scientists talking about purity of race, they talk about polygenic scores for intelligence. Instead of sterilizing the unfit, we offer upgrades to the rich. And instead of shouting orders, the system whispers, "Don't you want what's best for your child?" The shift from prevention to preference. At first, the designer baby industry focused on disease prevention. And that made sense. No one wants a child to suffer. If we can avoid cystic fibrosis or Tay-Sachs, why wouldn't we? But the industry didn't stop there. With each technological advancement, the scope widened, from preventing fatal conditions to reducing risk of depression, then to optimizing for height, then to increasing projected IQ, then to improving behavior. And now, we're already at the point where parents can screen for the most promising embryo out of a batch based on polygenic scores that estimate everything from obesity risk to academic potential. That's not prevention. That's preference. And once preference enters the equation, hierarchy follows. You're not just protecting a child, you're ranking embryos. And with that ranking comes exclusion. The child with the lowest score never gets born. The ones who don't meet the benchmark are discarded, not because they were sick, but because they weren't optimized. This is eugenics with better branding. The economic divide, enhancement as luxury. Make no mistake, designer babies are expensive. IVF alone can cost tens of thousands. Add on pre-implantation genetic testing, CRISPR interventions, and experimental enhancements, and you're looking at a six-figure pregnancy, which means only one group is getting access, the rich. This creates a two-tiered humanity. On one side, you have genetically curated children, smarter, stronger, taller, disease-resistant, emotionally optimized. On the other, naturally conceived children, born with all the randomness, flaws, and unpredictability of nature. And the divide doesn't end at birth. It extends into education, employment, relationships, and opportunity. Companies may one day prefer edited candidates. Schools may subtly favor genetically gifted applicants. Insurance companies could reward genetic enhancements. And dating platforms might begin to prioritize genetic scores alongside photos. Over time, natural children become the underclass. Not because they're less valuable, but because the system now measures value by trait optimization. Enhancement becomes currency, and those without it are quietly pushed to the margins. The return of fit and unfit history is repeating itself, softly. In the early 1900s, people were classified as fit or unfit to reproduce. Now, embryos are classified as high quality or low probability. Clinics talk about the viability of an embryo, but they also talk about its potential, not just to survive, but to thrive, to succeed, to be easier to raise. And here's where it turns sinister. When an embryo is discarded because of a high risk for autism, ADHD, or depression, what does that say about people alive today who live with those conditions? When we say, we don't want to create more people like that, we're not just making a choice for the future. We're passing judgment on the present. The new eugenics isn't forced sterilization. It's voluntary exclusion through information. It's choosing better, with the silent implication that some lives are not worth choosing. The language of genetic discrimination. Watch the language. It's subtle but insidious. We just want to reduce suffering. It's better for the child. Who wouldn't choose the smarter embryo? It's just responsible parenting. This child is more likely to succeed. These phrases sound compassionate, but underneath them is a chilling message. Some traits are undesirable. Some people are undesirable, and it's your job to eliminate them before they exist. When language like this becomes normalized, discrimination becomes medicalized. It stops sounding like prejudice and starts sounding like policy, like progress, like good science. But when your metrics for value are based on predicted performance, appearance, or convenience, you're not measuring worth. You're measuring utility. And that's not medicine. That's market logic applied to life. The psychological impact on the enhanced. Let's talk about the other side. Not the children who weren't born, but the ones who were. What does it mean to grow up knowing you were selected? That your embryo was better than your siblings? That your parents paid to optimize your intelligence, your behavior, your looks? This creates an immense pressure to perform. A silent contract. You were enhanced. You were chosen. Now prove it was worth it. It creates identity confusion, imposter syndrome, anxiety, and in some cases, resentment. Because when your existence is curated, your humanity becomes conditional. And if you fail, if you don't meet expectations, if you suffer anyway, that failure is no longer random. It's personal. It's a betrayal of the investment. This isn't hypothetical. This is the psychological burden of a generation raised on metrics. Children taught to believe they were built for success, not made for living. Regulation or redirection? Some say regulation will solve this. That ethical boards, laws, and oversight can prevent abuse. But regulation is already behind. The CRISPR children were born without approval. Embryo screening is happening in clinics worldwide, and no law can prevent desire. Once parents believe they can give their child a better chance, legality becomes irrelevant. They'll go overseas, they'll find loopholes, they'll pay cash. The issue isn't just access, it's ideology. We are raising a generation to believe that suffering is optional, that struggle is a defect, that nature is a failure, and that anything less than optimization is a mistake. No law can fix that. Only a shift in consciousness can. Is natural birth the new rebellion? In a world moving toward engineered reproduction, natural conception may become the exception, not the norm. And with that shift comes stigma. Naturally conceived children may be seen as unplanned, under-optimized, or even irresponsible. Parents may face scrutiny for not doing more. Schools may ask about enhancement status. Friend groups may fracture along genetic lines. The unedited will be asked to explain themselves. But here's the paradox. As curated life becomes the standard, natural birth may become the last act of rebellion. The last space where mystery lives. Where the soul enters unscripted. Where possibility isn't predicted, but discovered. We must ask, are we moving toward progress or performance? Toward healing or hierarchy? Because in trying to eliminate all weakness, we may eliminate depth, authenticity, and diversity. Eugenics never died. It just adapted. It stopped calling itself eugenics and started calling itself family planning, genetic health, reproductive choice. And while the methods look different, the goal is the same, to decide which lives are worth living before they're even born. But the soul isn't programmable. Character isn't editable. Greatness often grows from brokenness. And love, real love, doesn't select. It accepts. We must be vigilant. Not just about what we can do with genetics, but what we're doing to the meaning of life itself. Because if we create a world where only the optimized are welcome, then we haven't progressed. We've regressed. We've just built a prettier prison. Hi, I am Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and SOS, School of Soul has a brand new series, the AI and Future Technology series. Look, you know the world is changing. And no, it's not going back to normal. Normal is over, and what's coming next is beyond anything we were prepared for. The School of Soul, AI and Future Technology series includes 319 videos on 1. The Download Society, How Data Has Replaced Destiny. 2. Predictive Future. Your next moves aren't random, they're forecasted. 3. Social Credit Systems. The behavioral economy now governs access. 4. Hive Mind. Synthetic telepathy and collective algorithmic control. 5. Nanobots inside you. Medical, military, and programmable intrusions. 6. Grief Tech. AI-fueled digital resurrection and simulated comfort. 7. Uploading your mind, consciousness transfer, and data-based identity. 8. Deep fakes plus AI clones, the replication of reality and identity theft. 9. Quantum humans, the merger of biology with quantum systems. 10. Digital afterlife, where your data goes when you die. 11. Resurrection science, reviving life through synthetic methods. 12. Immortal science, the end of death as we know it. 13. Longevity science, gene editing, anti-aging, and bio-upgrades. 14. Designer babies, engineered perfection before birth. 15. Artificial wombs, birth decoupled from the female body. 16. 3D printing, printing organs, limbs, and even humans. 17. The humanoid era, the rise of synthetic beings among us. 18. Legacy humans, the slow phase-out of unmodified analog people. 19. Smart cities, algorithmic environments that watch and decide. 20. Cloud-based societies, citizenship without borders or bodies. 21. Hackable humans, emotion, memory, and behavior under code. 22. Biometric scanning, your body is your password and your prison. 23. Sex tech, intimacy reprogrammed by machines. 24. Extinction of gender, fluidity, deletion, and design of identity. Every topic is fully explored with real-world technologies, patents, case studies, ethical analysis, and future forecasts. These aren't someday discussions. This is already happening. Join the SoS School of SoS Vault to overstand the future before it's implemented on you.